You know, what I understand about human nature in a collective setting is that nothing exists in a vacuum. There's always a precedent, and there's always a set of events and a set of circumstances set forth first before you can have something become commonplace or to be the norm. Like, for instance, when you look at Chicago, all these kids killing each other in record numbers. All these children killing each other in record numbers. That didn't just happen one day because they collectively decided they were just going to start killing each other. That's not how it works. I know that's how some people would like to make it seem, because it fits within their ideology of how they feel about black on black crime or the overall dysfunction of black youth, especially. Even though black youth are making some really great strides these days, maybe because of Facebook and the fact that there's people like me telling them on Facebook and in real life, on the streets, that the underlying reasons why they are like this. Now, the underlying reasons for a high rate of poverty or a very high rate of crime and violence in a certain area hardly ever rests in that area. You hardly ever find an area anywhere in the world where everything is just utter violence and dismay and chaos and distress and mental illness without finding out that there's some other area keeping it that way for their own interests. That's the truth. Now, you can pussyfoot around that. You can try to say that's not true. But any research, I'm in the fridge, any research into these things, any real research into past events, you go back in time, you go back, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, as you go back in time, you start to find the underlying reasons for present day problems. Now, if you refuse to go back to when a problem first manifests itself, you will blame the victims. You will always find that people who do not want to discuss the underlying causes, the precursors to a certain way of life for a group of people, they will blame the victim. They will put it on the people who are failing within the set of circumstances that were set up for them to fail in. And most times when you are when you're put into a set of circumstances to fail as a group, what happens is those who overcome that set of circumstances without the awareness and the knowledge that those set of circumstances were put in place to cause a failure amongst a majority of the people, because there's no way you can make everybody fail at anything. There is no way you can make anybody fail at anything. Let's take, for instance, American Ninja Warrior. American Ninja Warrior is a show where people have to overcome a set of obstacles to make it to another point in the tournament. But what happens is most people don't do it. These people trained, they did everything they needed to do to try to overcome this course's obstacles. And in most cases, they simply can't do it. Some do. When a very few amount of people do, nobody looks at the people who made it and says, wow, if you made it, everybody should make it. No one says that unless you're dealing with black people. Now, when it comes to black people, if only the smallest percentage of black people make it through a maze of the school to prison pipeline and all of these different doctors who are willing to fuck your life up, all the different penalties you face just for being black. When you do make it, or when you have a system that works, that gets you through these obstacles, that is not a reason for you to then turn around and blame the people who did not make it for their own failure. Everybody fails. Racism is set up to make sure that a higher percentage of people do not come back from their own internal problems. Now I know that's hard for a lot of you to digest, but it's just plain truth. White oppression is designed to keep you oppressed. And by keeping us oppressed, it keeps us in a state of mind.
Tell me from the start that you played around and would have been fine. Then I would have played too, and I guess I would have had a good time. If you told me from the start that you played around and would have been fine.
Hey icons, I am Vincent-Tennell, and the Vincent-Tennell Show presents The Pace Report.
Hello, welcome to another edition of The Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from Subculture here in New York City. If you remember 3 years ago, I profiled a sister that was really about to break the whole music world by storm, especially the soul music world. Avery Sunshine continues to be a force in this music industry. In fact, her second album, The Sunroom, really proves that not only is she bringing forth her own original songs, but a lot of women are really in tune with some of the messages of empowerment and hope, as well as struggle, which she conveys in her lyrics and in her performances. Tonight she's performing a very intimate set in which she's talking about the music, she's making people laugh, she's making people cry, as well as she wants people to really leave her shows filled with not only the spirit of God's music, but also the soul. I sat down and we talked earlier about The Sunroom, her second album, as well as talked about the progress. As you might know, she has been opening up for the likes of Kim as well as Babyface, just to name a few. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of Miss Avery Sunshine, live here on The Pace Report, reporting from Subculture, live here in New York City.
$10 last for 3 weeks and a day. All of my bills are
You know, a lot has happened in the last 3 years since we broke bread.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the Sunroom, Tom Joyner Morning Cruise. You've got duet with Will Downing on his project. I've been following you. You've been busy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Trying to stay busy.
Tell me about the concept of the Sunroom.
The Sunroom is a collection of songs that just out of our experiences, stuff that we were going through, and we called it the Sunroom because, you know, in your sunroom you can do whatever you want, talk about whatever you want to talk about. You can be unapologetically you in your sunroom. So that's what we call it, the Sunroom.
How is this diametrically different from your debut project?
Oh, God. Well, I'll have to say, thought out. The first project for me, it was a kind of like a trial run. Like, let's just see what happens. And this second record was definitely, for me, I was much more focused. And I say that even in the recording and putting the songs together. Absolutely. Because I was like, oh, the first record, I might be able to do this. So let's really focus and see what we can do. So, yeah. And of course, with my partner Dana, it was I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So he's been that guide, the whole time.
You know, Call My Name is the single, the debut single off this album. How did you choose this single? Because, I mean, I know a lot of songs have to be radio friendly and video friendly, but the video's a little tripped out also.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're thankful for our videographer or the conceptualist, Coney Rock out of Chicago. And we said, hey, this is what the song is about. Do something. And it was hilarious. The video was really funny. He did Ugly Part of Me as well. But I don't know if we were expecting for anything to be radio friendly. We just wrote songs, stuff that we wanted to hear. And there was something that radio wanted to play. That was it. Grateful. Completely grateful.
You know, I'm listening to the CD and Safe in His Arms. I think the closer of the CD, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about how you were able to bring the whole gospel component to this, because gospel has always been in your DNA, but tonight's show people got filled.
Wow, it's just, it's a part of who I am, so it's not anything I have to bring to it. It's just, it comes out just like, when I'm exhaling, that's what it is. Just like any other song, an R&B song would come out of me. I feel like that's just what I do. That's when it's easy for me. When I have to say, okay, I can't do that song here, or that's when it gets hard and kind of, but when I just let it flow, I might sing a song about my boo. The next one I'm gonna sing about the Lord. The one after that, I don't know, that's what is natural for me. That's what's natural.
Your testimony is just so intense when it comes to the music.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of the women really connect. In fact, we talked about this the last time.
Yeah.
Women really connect to what you're talking about. And I got to ask you, with the church being so prevalent in your life, how is it that you are bringing young souls to these shows? Because each time I see, we packed it out tonight.
Yeah, it sold out, they told me. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Grateful.
And opening up for guys like Kim and opening up for Babyface, which you did Madison Square Garden, that had to be a rude awakening for you playing in the big crowd like that.
Oh, God. Well, I played for large crowds like that before, but not for Babyface. That was amazing. And at Madison Square Garden, that's nuts. That's nuts.
I've played out a meeting again and again, telling myself how it was gonna end. It's been such a long time and I've got butterflies, nervous that you will know all my thoughts, so much more than you are. But please understand that I know we both have our ties. What happened, baby? How did we miss out? I just didn't realize what you meant to me until now. you out of my head. Can't get you out of my system. Still wanting you, I don't care who knows it. No, 20 long years have passed, and I'm still pining, baby. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And you giving this thing much thought at all? Like what would happen if we started to fall in love like we did when we were too young to even know? I wish I could turn back the hands of time. I would have loved you like I was out of my mind. If only I knew what I know now, I'd be fine. What happened, baby? How did we miss out? I wish I could move on, but I can't. I'm perplexed, bewildered, upset, 'cause I can't have you. Yeah. No, I can't get you out of my head. Can't get you out of my system. Still wanting you, I don't care who knows it. No, 20 long years have passed, and I'm still pining. I love that y'all sing with me. Oh, yeah. There's a lady from Atlanta who said, he's leaving. Oh, on that midnight train to Georgia. Oh, y'all ain't too young for that, huh? She said, said he's going back to find a simpler place in time. Yeah, he's leaving.
This is the complete package musically. And tonight I saw a little Al Green and Bill Withers on the guitar. And I said earlier I saw Anita Baker and Aretha Franklin on the piano. Let's talk about the creative process on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an organic process. I mean, I wish I could tell you we had some specific thing that we do. Our rule of thumb is just do music that you like. You know, do you like it? Does it feel good to you? Then that's what we're going to do. And that's it. And hopefully people dig it. And if they don't, at least we like it. But thankfully, people tend to dig it.
Avery said something very important earlier in the interview about understanding the business side as an independent artist. Your hands are tied because you got to do social media, you got to do the writing, you got to do the mastering.
Right.
Give people who want to be independent artists the leeway and the advice that you are going through right now.
Sure. I would say the main thing is take your ego out of it and then talk to people, ask questions, ask people that have done these things before that you know, and really just get in the way of thinking of just, what do I need to do to get to the end of it? Take your ego out of it, though, because once your ego gets into it, then you start doing stuff that may or may not make business sense, but you have to think of yourself as a business. It's more than just singing well. It's more than just playing well. You have to make music that's palatable for your audience, as well as think of yourself as an entrepreneur and as a real business.
Avery, you are focusing more on the singing side and the songwriting side. How do you guys bump heads? Because I know there's a lot of bumping their heads when you're doing this.
It's not a whole lot, and I think that's why we work so well together. It just we kind of know who's in what lane, and we're grateful for that. I think that's why we do it, because it's so easy. It just worked out like that. It just was natural for Dana to handle all the business and mix the record and record it and engineer. Those were his, that's where he was an expert. And I can't say I was an expert in music. He just does a whole bunch of stuff really well, and it just works. I know that's a really bizarre answer, but it just works. At the moment that it gets hard, we're like, I don't think when you're, especially when you're creating, it should not be like pulling teeth. It really should be organic and smooth and easy. And I just don't believe that you have to be broken down to create something. I don't believe that. So and we get some great stuff out of our pain, but it doesn't have to be that way.
The Sunroom is really an amalgamation of, like she said, experiences. Compare and contrast this record with the first record you guys put out.
Sure. So I think we went into this record with a little bit of experience on what to do, maybe what not to do, a little bit more know-how. But honestly, the approach was the same. It was just like, let's just make records that feel good to us. And we recorded a bunch of records, and we picked, 12 or 13 records, and that was it,
The upcoming song, the new song that you guys performed tonight, there's a lot of fire in this, a lot of soul in this. Yeah. You're keeping that soul tradition alive at a time when everybody's kind of selling out. This has got to be very, very going against the grain for you guys.
No, it's not going against the grain for us because, again, we took our ego out of it and we just decided to make the stuff that we liked. And it's a business, but the music itself is art in the sense that it's a representation of what we really want to do. And so, no, if we're going against the grain, it doesn't feel like it. We're going with the grain, actually. Our own grain, though, not somebody else's grain. Yeah.
Last question, and
Sure.
we're done. You guys are doing the independent route, but you guys have been playing a lot of big venues.
Yeah.
You guys finding you're working extra hard now to get your name both here and abroad, like your European fans versus American fans?
I'll let Dana answer.
You know what? It's funny because I don't feel like we work hard. We just try to have fun and have a good time and let that emanate out of it. And I mean, we move around a lot, we travel a lot, we plan hard, and we have a great team that keeps us working. But I mean, we're just doing what we love to do. I was sitting somewhere one day and I was almost about to complain, and I thought to myself, gee, how can I complain? I'm doing what I love for a living. So that's really what it is. We're just doing what we love. So it's not even like working hard our work. I've worked hard before. I've done roofs and I've sat in a cubicle before. This is not hard work. This is what I love to do. I had to be careful saying that. I would almost do this for free. Don't let her hear that. I would almost do this for free because I just love what we do, but it's not hard work, but I understand what you mean. We are working hard. We're trying to get as many places as we can get because we understand the value of getting in front of people and letting people experience what we do. And we're just so thankful to God that we're able to do that.
Well, that's it.
I guess life has gotten in the way. Yes. How in the world could this happen to you? Used to have so much to say. Tell me, babe, when was the last time you called me calling? When was the last time I heard you say, hey, baby, hey, yes.
a very, very important component in your musicianship is the piano. And I think of Roberta Flack, I think of Alicia Keys, John Legend, Aretha Franklin. That element of soul music is almost extinct, and you're bringing another fire, and you're burning them keys up, and you're singing too. Tell me how that is, because singing and playing are very, very difficult.
Yeah, I don't know that. It's just been natural for me, I have to be honest. So I don't know. It's like, I know what you mean though. When I try to play the guitar, I can't get any sound out of guitar. None. So I get it in that but I don't know. It just happened. It's not something that I said, well, I want to play and sing. One day I was doing it. I know that sounds so bizarre, but I was. One day I was playing the piano, reading, directing choirs, singing. It just happened. That's one of those things that that when your path has really been paved for you and you look back on it, it's like, how did I do that? I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. I'm just grateful.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting from Subculture here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Avery Sunshine for her time. Also the staff and management here at Subculture for the warm hospitality. And I also like to personally thank Fiona Bloom for arranging my time with Sunshine here this evening. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.
I guess life has gotten in the way. Yes. How in the world could this happen to us? Used to have so much to say. Tell me, babe, when was the last time you called sweet darling?
'Cause I love him, I love him, I love him, I love him, I love him. Maybe I should call. Maybe I should call. I love him, I love him, I love him, I love him, I love him. But I'll never call. Maybe that's my flaw. Maybe.